Is there ever a time when an owner or trainer should raise their voice to a dog, or is
Oh,
that always wrong?
yeah, absolutely. If it's doing something which is its life's in danger, or something that is just not right, like it's jumping on children in a
Mhm.
park, I would yell one word. The word would be sit, formal name, sit. And if that dog didn't sit, I'd run up to it so fast. No, there's times when dogs do stuff which is downright dangerous. Like someone's left the front door open and they are running to a 6-lane busy street, you know. And so there are times when we have to raise their voice. When the dog's at a distance, we have to raise our voice. So what I do beforehand, because if you're totally positive and you're training the dog in a nice voice, Rover, sit for mummy, good dog, oh, good dog, Rover. If you raise your voice now, the first time you do it, the dog won't respond. Dog's run out the front door. He is half a second away from death. And you scream, Rover, sit, or Rover, come. The likely response on that dog is either startle and
Yeah.
freeze or to run away from you because he thinks a raised voice means anger and unpleasantness. And so, what we do beforehand is we teach the dog, we give all commands in a neutral tone. Every command is given Rover, sit, Rover, stand. Neutral tone, neutral volume. If we want to communicate urgency or danger, we raise our voice, but we teach the dog. All that means is more treats, better treats. And so we do it like this. I work with the sit command because that's my emergency command when off leash and at a distance and distracted.
Mhm.
So I say, Rover, sit. Thank you. Come here. Rover, sit. Good dog. Come here. Rover, sit. Good dog, bit of kibble. Come here, Rover, sit. Good dog, kibble, 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 kibble. Rover, sit. Good dog, cheese, bacon. And then sit. Good dog, a piece of meat, a piece of cheese, a piece of bacon. I'm petting him. I'm doing a jig. I'm dancing up and down. So now the dog learns that volume and that not scary tone just means urgency and better treats. So when we use it in an emergency, the dog's likely to respond. The opposite of that, of course, is we use low tone and sweet tone to mean you have to do this. And I discovered this. I was on TV, a 2-hour live program, a veterinary behavior program, and I took Omaha, and it was 92 degrees outside, probably 110 in the studio. It was just a garage, the studio. And he just wanted to leave. And anyway, to cut a long story short, he wrecked the studio on live TV because I came up with the idea, well, I'll put him on leash. So my trainer put him on leash through and I pulled him in like a dead sea bass and the carpet rolls up because he doesn't want to come. Then he walks behind me round an easel with a veterinary caduceus on it. It collapses it. And it was crazy. And I thought, God, I wish I could talk to him like I do at home. Omaha, sit. But of course, that's not good for live TV. The doctor, the expert, shouting at his dog like he's a child murderer or something. And so I realized, well, if we teach tones in a neutral voice, and we teach them that when I shout, it's urgency and it's a pleasant thing. Okay,
Mhm.
he knows it's a joke. All right, I can talk to him sweetly and say, instead of which is his nickname, I can say, Omaha, sit. And he learns that means I follow up.
Mhm.
And this is years ago, of course, way back then, the way I followed up was actually getting tough. So sweetly, Omaha, sit. And if he didn't do it, sit like that. Well, he learned that really quickly, so I never had to shout again. All right. But since then, I've learned you never have to shout, you just have to follow up. Changing from Ohm to Omaha, is that the initial question, and then for the ring from Omaha to Wahoo means you have to do it. And by calling him Omaha, it means you have to do it. I will follow up. I'm not going to raise my voice. We're not going to discuss. I'm just going to follow up. And when you do it eventually, now we repeat the whole exercise. Because when I call you Omaha, in order to life, as Omaha knows it, to continue, you must follow my instruction after just a single instruction. If I have to repeat it, you repeat the exercise. And then the change from Omaha to Wahoo, who basically communicates, this is showtime. Head up, tail a wag, sit straight, look at me like I know what I'm doing. Don't ruin my street cred. I'm in the ring now, and the judge and people are watching. So, yeah, there are times when you have to shout. It's just like there are times when you have to let the dog know this is wrong. You know, I don't get this totally positive thing. It's a disservice to dogs that we're only going to reward the dog for getting it right and ignore all the wrong stuff. Now, it's nice that we aren't getting on the dog's case and raising our voice or scaring it or hurting it when it gets things wrong. Absolutely. But you can't ignore a dog that's jumping on a child. And what do they say? Ignore it, turn your back on the dog. It's stupidity. I have a video from actually my protege in Japan, and she went to a pretty famous dog training academy where they said, if the dog jumps up, turn your back on it. So she videoed this and says, Ian, what am I doing wrong here? So the dog jumps on her, she turns her back, the dog runs around, jumps on her. So she turns her back, the dog runs around, and this trainer was pirouetting, and the dog was running in circles and periodically jumping up. I said, well, why don't you just say sit? End of problem. You know, you can't ignore when dogs get it wrong, but you just simply have to give an instruction which communicates three things. Stop what you're doing, do this instead to get back on track, and the level of danger of non-compliance. I do that with volume. But the volume isn't out of the blue to frighten the dog. It's been pre-trained to mean volume means better treats, or from my viewpoint, urgency.